Bob Streeter, and I am the author of The Greats of Adirondack Fly Fishing. And the fly that we're going to tie today is another one from William Scripture Jr. Now, Scripture Jr. lived in Rome, New York. He was an attorney. His father was a very famous New York State Supreme Court justice. And Scripture did most of his fly fishing from the late 1800s through like the 1940s or so. And he caught trout that we can only dream of today in a lot of these streams, especially in the southwestern side of the Adirondacks. Scripture was an incredible angler, and he had a lot of national renown, even though he really wasn't like an outdoor writer or a fly fishing celebrity, but he was well known. And one of my favorite stories about him was that the school principal, if he hadn't seen William Scripture Jr. in a couple of days, the next time he saw him, he would ask him how the fishing was, because Scrip was a bit of a vagabond, and he would skip school and go fish, or he'd go hunt. He loved the outdoors, and I think if he had his choice, he would have been something like a fishing guide instead of being an attorney. He loved it that much. So here's another fly from Scripture Jr. Okay, so we're going to tie another one of Scripture's bucktails, and this one's the Scripture Old Reliable Bucktail. So we'll get our thread started. And we can trim that off. And we'll run it all the way to the back. Okay, so on his bucktails, he used a tail, and he made it out of red yarn. And I think he did that to make it look like an injured bait fish, because a lot of times salmonids will go through a school of bait fish and they clamp down and they bite them on the tail, and then they go back and eat them. So I'm going to leave that long, trim that off. Okay, now we got it. And I'm going to bind that down. And the reason I'm going to do that is so I don't get like a bump in the tail part of the fly. So I'm going to go through that and bind it all down. And we go right to there. All right. So on this fly, he used an orange thread, and we'll explain why later. So we're going to do kind of the same thing. I'm going to set that up. Bind down the end, and I'm going to leave it long. Just bring this all the way to the front. Okay, we're going to bring our orange yarn forward. And we'll tie that off. And get it trimmed. Now, sometimes he used a rib on some of these flies, silver tinsel. We're not going to put that on this one. We're going to do the fly in its simplest form. And we will get this last step is just brown bucktail. We'll trim some bucktail off, an actual bucktail. And what's neat is this is one of my bucktails. I like to hunt with my bow, and I kind of believe in the same thing that the Native Americans believed in, is that you use the animal to the maximum extent, and I use a lot of that stuff on my fly tying, so I always keep a bucktail. Alright, so here's our wing. And we're just gonna bind that in. And I'm going to trim it up at an angle. And we just want to tie it all down so we get a nice tapered head to the fly. And it takes quite a few wraps of thread. And we'll whip finish. The thread, and use a generous amount of head cement. Make sure everything stays together. And I like to go all around it, getting the whole thing. And that's it, a Scripture Old Reliable Bucktail. So that's how you tie the Scripture Old Reliable Bucktail. And I think the reason that it was orange with the red tail is he was looking to have something look like a juvenile brook trout. When he fished, there was a lot of big trout, and big trout are cannibals. And he did very well with streamers, and you know, that is my best guess as to why he came up with this pattern and a couple of the other ones. So that is how you tie it. If you like the video, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button, because I'm trying to grow the channel, and we'll have all of the flies from the book will be featured there. And there's information at the end of the video if you're interested in the book. Thanks.